Hello everyone, very good afternoon. This is Vasu Waghela, a sales representative from GMS Plastic Machinery Private Limited. Uh, welcoming you all for a fifth webinar in our webinar series, which is completely about the key challenges and futuristic opportunities when it comes to the recycling. Now, on particular this topic, I believe today we will discuss about two things. One is about the environment registration, as in PUC registration and everything, and issues related to those. And second thing we will discuss is about difference between conventional and latest advanced recycling technology. Now I would like to invite Mr. Arun Sanghvi, Managing Director of GMS Plastic Machinery Private Limited and former President of All India Plastic Association. Mr. Sanghvi has been active in Environment Committee as well as he has a vast experience when it comes to the manufacturing of recycling business. So, Arun sir, would like to request you to explain to us about the difference between conventional and advanced technology. Over to you, sir.
Yeah, I hope I am audible to everyone.
Yes, yes, correct.
Okay. Yeah, today Dr. Kale, yeah, of course, he's always been supportive to me, and he's actually my guru. So I whenever I tell him anything about my requirements for giving experience to people, he is always ready and supportive for me. And thank you, Dr. Kale, again. I would like to say a few things about water and air pollution as regards waste recycling of plastics, and that is that mostly when you are talking of water washing plants for plastic recycling, you would need effluent treatment, and effluent treatment is part and will be the part of requirements by pollution bodies in the world. In fact, in India, there are norms wherein ETP plants are compulsory, but of course, because of various issues and various legal formalities, people are avoiding, and there aren't not many ETP plants except for companies where they are huge. ETP, next time we will be, of course, covering ETP as a specific topic. So I would request all of you who are participating today to please do join us for that topic. It will be specifically on ETP and washing plants, so it will be a very unique topic. Of course, when we are talking about conventional and advanced recycling technology, let me tell you about the demand of recycling as well. And the plastic waste recycling would grow by around 3.1% by 2024 at an average rate of 3.1%. So that is quite a good rate of increase. The various sources of plastic waste, as you can see from the screen, the major source is packaging, then the agricultural sector, the electronics, of course, houseware, others, building materials are there, but they are not in a big way. You can see also the amount of waste all over India generated, of which India's 4 metro generate more than around 1,670 tons of plastic waste per day, which is approximately 40% of the total plastic waste produced in India. And India recycles today around 70% of plastic waste as on 2020. These are the various locations where plastic waste is recycled in a big way. There are hubs, we can say full towns, which are having recycling facilities, the major of which are Doraji, Vapi, Surat, Daman, Dharavi in Bombay, Malegaon, Jalgaon, Indore, Delhi, NCR, Kanpur. I have been to almost all you have seen in the map, and all of them are big recycling hubs. Estimated quantity of recycled plastic is around 5.5 million metric tons in 2017-18, 7 million metric tons in 2019-20, and expected to grow by around 3.1% CAGR. When it comes to washing plants, which will be, of course, we will be talking more detailed about washing plants in our next topic, next webinar. But today, let me at least highlight the basis of the washing plants that are required for waste management in plastics industry. The most important factor is that you need to grind or shred the material before going into the friction washing, then into the flotation tank, which Dr. Khaled was talking about, the flotation for separation of heavy particles and the light plastic waste. Then we have the drying centrifuge where we are drying the material. Of course, this is also a similar system to the washing unit, but this has an external filter to remove all the water. Then we have the hot air dryer blower, which nearly dries the material to around 98%. So this material can directly be fed to our recycling plants. Then we have the, of course, we have the semi-automatic washing plants where if you fit a few more conveyors, you can make it nearly fully automatic. The water consumption can be conserved using ETP units in both the cases. Continuous operator involvement in semi-automatic is quite high and quite regular, because they are required to input all the different chemicals and detergents, etc., during the different operations, then to remove the water to so all these processes are manual and they need to be taken care of in the semi-automatic washing plants. The major for parts for the semi-automatic washing plants are the high-speed washing unit and the centrifugal dryer, of course, which is connected to the hot air blower, again, which can give you 98% dry material. Then we have the recycling machines. We have 3 different technologies. Of course, the major 2 different technologies of recycling. The first one being with the force feeder, where you can see the tall tank here. My mouse is showing you. The tall tank is the force feeding device, and below it is the feeding screw, which is feeding the material to the extrusion. And the extruders are vented, of course. Then we have the online screen changer. You don't need to stop the machine. And we have the die face cutter. Similarly, we also have the densifier, where you densify the material instead of force feeding. In the force feeder, you need a pre-grinder, or if the material is coming from the washing plant, a densifier is not required. You can run the same with the force feeding device. So other all part of the equipment are identical, so I don't need to elaborate on that. Then we have the mother baby. This, of course, is similar to the first 2 technologies. In this, you can either put a force feeder or a densifier, but then there are 2 extruders in line and 2 screen changers. This is for highly contaminated or highly gassy material. I would not use this for highly contaminated in the sense, if it is highly printed, yes, it is a recommended recycling machine. But if it is not highly printed, but very, very dirty material, I would suggest to wash before we recycle. Because the screw barrel life can reduce drastically by just putting in dirty waste, which normally is the tendency in the Indian industry today. now I'll give you a comparison of conventional and advanced recycling technology. In the conventional technology, pre-drying is an important factor. You need to pre-dry, hence every single customer needs a high-speed mixer to dry the material, to warm it up slightly so that it feeds easily. Otherwise, there would be slippage of material. And when there is slippage of material, the power consumption increases and the screw is not able to give out the right throughput. Then there is the direct hopper in the traditional machines instead of force feeding or the densification system, which is the new trend. So in the hopper, the consistency of feeding of light material is not possible unless you agglomerate and feed it through the extruder, or you have someone manually pushing the material consistently to allow the feeding to happen constant. Then we have the offline agglomerator required, because if there is a material like film or non-woven sacks or woven sacks, you cannot do it without agglomerating it. Then we have the extruders. The extruders are pulley driven. The older ones are pulley driven. Most of them are hopper fed, as I said earlier. The screw diameters are big. Hence, degradation is very, very high compared to the advanced machines. Of course, I'll give the comparison later. Then there is the single speed or the multi-speed, but no AC drive is used. There is a variable DC drive used in conventional equipment, which does not give you the required torque. Today's systems of recycling are based on high torque, high throughput machines with high RPM, lower screw diameter, so that degradation reduces drastically. Most of the extruders in the older times were not vented, and the screw was non-compressed, non-compression type. So the materials with high gas or high printing, you needed 100% to pass through a mother-baby tandem system so that you are able to remove the gases which are trapped in the material. Heating is very high in the older equipments because the screw lengths were higher because of the diameter, and those were the factors which were never considered by any manufacturer in those times, because power was not that expensive. Today, power cost is so high that we actually need to think twice before buying an equipment whether it is going to give you the right. Today, in fact, if anyone is our customer, they may be vouching that power cost is always the major cost in a recycling industry. Nearly 50% to 60% of the cost of production is power cost. So we need to make sure that power cost is always kept at bare minimum. In fact, there were trends where people were thinking of shifting, instead of using power, to gas heated extruders. In some countries, for example, in Thailand, gas is free. So people are preferring to use gas heating systems. But in gas heating systems, the even heating of material is not possible, or control of heating at 1 degree plus minus is not possible. In the advanced technology systems, these are possible. Most of the older technologies had either the manual screen changer, offline ones, or the offline semi-automatic screen changers. None of them used to have fully automatic screen changers as of the current time. Then most of them had strand palletizer. I'll give you more detailed about strand palletizers later, because I have a full slide for that. Let me give you the difference between the conventional and the advanced. Now I'll come to the advanced. In the advanced technology, pre-drying of material is not required. In fact, if there is 3% moisture, it is also acceptable for all the recycling machines in the current day scenario. Basically because of the venting which is available in the extruder. Most of the, I would say 90% of the machines would either have a densifier online or a force feeder online. And that is the need of the hour to give consistent and continuous throughput of the material and keep the granule size even. If you see the traditional equipment, the granule size keep on varying, thin granules, long granules, short granules. Those sort of issues don't come in the advanced equipment. It is a consistent granule nature that is important and is required. Then we have the online cutter compactor or the densifier or the agglomerator, which feeds material like raffia, raffia is the woven sets, then we have the non-woven bags, then we have the filaments, the fibers, the certain film waste. It would be ideal to feed through a cutter compactor, unless, of course, as I said, you're going to have a pre-washing unit where you're already going to grind it. Again, let me clarify here that mostly, I would say not mostly, 100% non-woven or fiber materials cannot be cut by grinders. So in those cases, we will not be able to wash those waste also, and they may need to be passed through cutter compactor or densifier or agglomerators. So that is one feature we need to make sure what is the requirement of the client. Then comes the extruders. They are all direct coupled, so all of them are giving better torque, better stability, no belt slippage, no breakdown due to belts breakage or belt elongation, etc. There are small screw diameters with high speed, so the throughput is consistent and constant. And then most of the machines are either cutter compactor connected or force fed. Even though we have a cutter compactor, we have a force feeder on it, so the consistency of the output maintains. All the extruders are variable, AC driven, so the torque of the machine is maintained. The gearbox is not overloaded. Vented screws with compression type are always the need of the hour. The requirement is to remove the gases, especially from foam materials or highly, I would say 100% printed materials like pouches and woven sacks, which are nowadays with 100% printing. Heating is very, very low. I'll give you the comparison of the heat requirements also in my next slide. All the screen changes are either manual offline or online fully automatic, cassette type or track and track. So it depends on the customer's requirement, but the online feature is something which is the need of the hour to save the production. Die phase cutters, of course, to give you virgin-like pellets and consistent one size granules without sticking are the important features of the die phase cutter. Now let me give you the comparison for power, labor, etc. from conventional to advanced technologies. If you see, the power consumption in conventional equipment is close to 0.4 to 0.55 kgs per kilo due to various factors like pulley belt slippage, as I said earlier, or the pulley elongation slippage, single or multi-feed speeds, which does not allow variation when required, inconsistent feeding as no force feeder is used, preheating with high-speed mixers makes it more expensive because you have to pass through a lot of power consumption during preheating. Extruder heating is, of course, kept very high because the screw lengths are longer, the screw diameters are big. So to heat that mass of steel, you need more power. All the motors running are at nearly around 70% capacity. So the power consumption at the motor side is almost high. Of course, due to the non-availability of AC driven machines, the power consumption is also high. As compared to the advanced technology, the power consumption is close to 0.25 to 0.37 kilowatt per kilo. So if you see the comparison is nearly half, nearly close to 80%, 90%, I would say, not half. Sorry, 60, 70% of the conventional machines. So the reason for it is, since there is direct coupling, there is no slippage, there is variable speed availability, so you are able to maintain the torque. There is the consistent output because of the force feeding. No preheating is required. Extruder heating is very low because the screw diameter is less and the screw length is shorter. So the steel that is required to heat up is less. So you need a little less wattage on the heating. All the motors running are below 60% capacity. In fact, most of the cases we have seen, for example, if it is doing polyethylenes, it is close to 50% capacity. The highest we have seen is in polypropylene or nylon, which is around 60%. Labor required is more than 3 to 4 persons in conventional machines, whereas in advanced machines we have only 2 people. The reason for more people on the conventional machines is to supervise clean filters and to set parameters. You need 1 person. This person also can collect the granules and feed the extruder simultaneously, but you need one more person to supervise the consistent feeding because there is manual pushing required with the help of sticks or something. You need to push the material in the hopper when it is light material. You need to manage strands, so you need 2 people to manage the strands. One is consistently pulling the strand and giving it to the cutting unit, and the other is pushing it in the cutter after cutting the lump and the startup of the strand. So whenever you change the screen, there is always a lump formed and the strand breaks, so there is a lump formed. You have to you have wastage there. um, Labor in case of automatic plants are just 2. You need one who is the supervisor, who cleans filters and who also takes care of the operation of the machine, and the other one is taking care of feeding the granule and collecting the material which is exiting from the extruder, from the die face cutter. Let's see the comparison of a strand pelletizer to the die face cutter. The when strands break, I've been saying it again and again, you need to refix them. So you need 2 people to operate the cutters. Then you need you are generating nearly. I know for a 100 kilo machine per hour, you have approximately per day wastage of around 100 kilos. So that 100 kilos per day wastage as against the die face cutter can just compensate the cost of die face cutter for within a span of 1 year. So that is the investment repayment capability in a die face cutter as compared to a strand pelletizer. Random uncut granules are seen in the strand pelletizing systems, whereas in the die face cutter there is no uneven granule size. Every time screen fills and the machine stops, there is a lump generated at the stop point and at the startup point. Whereas in the die face cutter, you don't need to stop the machine. You just need to change the filter and you are back in production. It's just a few seconds and the granules restart. So you don't need to even set the die face cutter again and again. Once you set it, it's done. You stop and restart the machine. You stop the machine only when you are changing the shift or you are maybe shutting down for a weekend or something like that. Offline screen changes, the machines need to stop to change the screen, whereas in Oleodynamic or the online screen changes, you don't need to stop the machine. In most of the cases, we have seen that the traditional equipments bolts break of the screen changer because there is high brake pressure which is never monitored because there is never a pressure sensor in it. Whereas in the advanced technology, there is a pressure transducer always installed on the machine and it gives you the pressure feedback. So you just push a button and you change the screen. Then we have the unvented or the uncompressed extruder, the traditional ones. So the material needs to be pre-dried completely. If the material is highly gassy, like highly printed material, they need to be run through a multi-extruder, that is the mother baby or the tandem machine only. Whereas in the advanced technology, in a vented extruder or a compressed screw extruder, you can even have 3% moist material processing, or highly gassy printed material or foam material can be recycled with ease because there is a vent which removes the gases without any issues. Let us ascertain the performance of GMS. Well, GMS provides for free trial at our plant in Bhiwandi. Anyone who is interested can send around 200-300 kilos of their waste, and we will run the trial in your presence if you are there, if you are available to come there, or in case because of the coronavirus nowadays people want to avoid, you can um, we can show it to you online or live with the help of WhatsApp or Zoom or whichever mode you prefer. We can show it live to you. If you are interested, do send us a request. We will send you our data sheet and you can send your material immediately and we can run the trial at a mutually agreeable time. Once the trial is done, we can sit around and discuss the commercials and finalize the order. Why GMS? GMS basically provides free trial to every customer. That is, of course, the most important thing. 95% of our customers have seen their trials, and if you come to our plant, we can show you hundreds of samples in our plant which have been tested for each and every client that has come to our plant to see a trial. GMS designs each and every equipment to suit the customer. So when we do the trial, our technical team is always making notes of what are the requirements for that client's material so that we are able to give you 100% performance of your waste to be recycled. GMS also provides installation at no engineer cost. GMS provides lifetime service, free service. Beware, it's free service. All you need to provide is hotel and accommodation to our staff. GMS supplies machines with only high quality branded components. To name some, we give you drives from Danfoss or ABB to the motors are Bharat Bijli or Hindustan or Siemens or even ABB, depending on the supply dates. But contractors are Siemens or L&T if customers demand L&T, because normally people prefer Siemens. Switches and all are Technique. So most of the components are easily available in the market. You don't need to contact GMS for the spares. And we don't work to sell spares. GMS is not there to sell spares. GMS is there to give you service. GMS provides bimetallic screw barrel where they determine that the waste is having some wear content so that your life of the extruder is enhanced. GMS supplies required tools and extra spares which are with every ordered equipment, which are the need of every equipment. Why GMS? I repeat, GMS, a name you can count on. GMS, a brand for quality and service. You can see all our videos, especially the advanced technologies, on the links you can see here. Vasu will send it to you on the chat, and also we will send it to you by email. Whosoever is registered with us, if you need any support on this, please do call me or contact me. We will be holding, as I said, another webinar on challenges of futuristic opportunities of recycling part 2, where we'll be talking about ETP plants, that is effluent treatment, which will be our core discussion point, and of course semi-automatic washing plants, fully automatic washing plants. So it will be completely dependent on washing. Please do join us. Thank you all. Let GMS turn your waste to profits. Thank you.